Hello everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you enjoy clear, text-to-speech friendly deep dives with zero emojis, please like this video, subscribe, and click the join button so we can keep bringing you carefully told stories. Today we're unpacking a headline that has electrified fandoms from Istanbul to Rome, the possibility of a full-circle homecoming for Yaman, and what that might mean for his longtime friend and former co-star Demet Özdemir. We'll trace how we got here, what the signals really say, and why this moment feels different from every rumor you've heard before. Let's start with the groundwork. For years, Yaman has balanced two identities, the local phenomenon who learned to act in the heat of Turkish sets, and the international figure who turned premieres into global fan gatherings. He is known for fierce discipline, intense physical preparation, and a knack for turning press chaos into calm. When his work took him abroad for long stretches, a new chapter began: language coaches, international agents, unfamiliar sets, very different production rhythms. The journey sharpened his craft and multiplied his audience. It also changed the conversation at home. Would he ever return to Turkey for a sustained run, or were we watching the permanent pivot of a career that had outgrown its roots? Enter the first signal. During a compact media appearance, Ken was asked a routine question about future projects. Instead of the usual neutral phrasing, he answered with something that sounded like intent: returning to the place where I learned the difference between a good scene and a finished scene. The phrasing was careful, but the message landed. Within hours, fan accounts posted translations, industry blogs dissected his tone, and a familiar speculation rose to the surface: if he's coming back, could Demet Özdemir be part of the creative equation? To understand why her name appears instantly whenever Ken talks about direction, you have to remember their shared history. Years ago, Demet Özdemir and Yaman anchored a series that lived and died on timing, comic beats, glances that travel further than dialogue, that particular warmth Turkish romantic dramas do so well when actors trust each other completely. Their partnership became shorthand for a certain energy, quick, playful, charged without being cynical. Even when they moved on to separate challenges, Demet deepening her range in drama and romantic dramedy, Ken testing himself in international productions, they carried that association with them. For fans, the idea of them reuniting is never just nostalgia. It's a hypothesis about tone and quality. But this moment is not a repeat. The circumstances have shifted around both of them. Demet's choices in recent years show a performer who wants to stretch, different genres, different temperaments, characters who are not always lovable on page one. She's talked in interviews about process, fewer shortcuts, more script work, long rehearsals that prioritize intention over speed. Ken, for his part, has experienced the brutal pace of promotion beyond Turkey, sound stages that feel like airports, airports that feel like work, and the emotional cost of being on in 3 languages across 5 time zones. When he hints at returning home, it does not sound like retreat. It sounds like a recalibration: fewer moving parts, more control over tone, a set culture he knows how to optimize. The second signal came quietly: a cluster of meetings in Istanbul, not flashy, but focused. Casting conversations that use the word ensemble instead of star vehicle. Producers asking about shooting calendars that work with Ramadan, with holidays, with the rhythms of the Turkish audience. Directors pitching pieces that have space for comedy and tenderness without losing dramatic stakes. And somewhere in these meetings, according to those who keep track of who walks in and out of which production office, a name kept surfacing: Demet Özdemir, not as a guarantee, but as a possibility to design around if schedules align. None of this is a promise. It is, however, a blueprint. And under that blueprint sits a question neither Ken nor Demet can ignore: how do you capture lightning twice without copying the bottle? If they were to work together again, the project would have to honor what once worked while refusing to cosplay it. That means a story that is not a thin remix of their past, but a setting that lets 2 experienced performers show new colors. Let's imagine the kinds of frameworks being discussed. One idea balances humor and heartbreak in a city within a city backdrop: a family business on the edge of collapse, a neighborhood trying to decide whether to modernize or protect its memory. Another outline explores the creative process itself: two rival creators forced to collaborate under a tight deadline, a structure that would allow barbed banter and earned intimacy. The point is not to spoil anything. The point is to spotlight the logic. When you have two actors with rhythm, you give them a score that demands rhythm. And where does Demet stand in all this? If you study her recent choices, you notice a through-line: agency. Even in straightforward romances, she tends to choose characters who want something precise: autonomy, competence, the right to be complicated. A reunion would have to respect that sensibility. It would need to give her character a spine made of more than love. Audiences see through paper spines now. Demet understands this. Ken understands this. Their fans reward it. There's also the human dimension to consider. Fame is loud. Choosing quietly has become a skill for both of them. People who worked with Ken abroad talk about how he learned to corral the noise: shorter meet and greets, clearer boundaries, more rest between commitments, without hardening into cynicism. People who worked with Demet speak about her set leadership, how she treats first days as tone-setting days, how she protects rehearsal time, how she checks in with scene partners after difficult beats. If a creative reunion happens, it will be under rules they write together: healthier schedules, measured press, a plan to let the work speak louder than the storm around it. Now, let's address the most circular part of fandom discourse: the assumption that every professional decision between these two is secretly a personal one. It's not. It is possible, indeed likely, that their bond has been strengthened precisely because they learned to separate the two, to protect friendship from the heat of public imagination. When Ken talks about "the place where I learned the difference between a good scene and a finished scene," he is talking about a craft culture in Turkey that trained his instincts. When Demet talks about roles that require listening, she is talking about a maturity that comes from time spent listening. If they collaborate again, it will be a professional alignment supported by private trust, not an invitation to dissect private lives. How will the industry respond if the return becomes official? Expect a wave of opportunistic pitches, brands hoping to hitch a campaign to the moment, platforms racing to lock exclusive streaming windows, producers timing announcements to steal the conversation. Expect, too, a counter-movement from the artists: fewer press days, longer trailers, and a refusal to reveal key beats early. The post-pandemic audience is better at smelling hype than ever. The only antidote is substance. Ken and Demet have both learned that lesson in different arenas. Together, they would be well positioned to enforce it. There is also the matter of scale. Ken's international presence guarantees attention from outside Turkey. Demet's steady growth guarantees a home audience that will judge the work on the work. That dual pressure can dilute a project if it's approached as a chorus of obligations. It can also elevate a project if it's approached as an opportunity to set terms. That is why the clearest path forward looks like this: a Turkish-first production built with enough care to travel, rather than a travel-first production that forgets to breathe at home. So, what should fans watch for next if they want real clues instead of rumor loops? Pay attention to language. If you see ensemble, character-driven, and writer's room, you're looking at a project built for longevity. If you hear about 2 or 3 weeks of table work before cameras roll, you're looking at a production that wants lived-in performances. If scheduling notes mention breaks protected for reset and training, you're looking at artists who have learned to honor their limits so they can deliver more on screen. A final reflection. Homecomings are romantic in theory and complicated in practice. They demand humility. You have to relearn what you once knew, because the scene partners are new, the crews are new, and the city itself has shifted under your feet. They also reward conviction. If Yaman is ready to bring what he learned abroad back to the ecosystem that made him, and if Demet Özdemir sees a role worthy of her present range rather than her past brand, then a reunion won't simply satisfy nostalgia. It will set a standard for how to evolve in public without sacrificing the private core that makes the work honest. If this long, calm walkthrough helped you sort signal from noise, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and ring the bell for more respectful, rumor-free breakdowns you can enjoy in audio. In the comments, tell me this: if Ken and Demet reunited, what kind of story would you want? Rivals forced to collaborate, partners saving a family legacy, or something entirely different? Keep it thoughtful. That's how we keep the conversation worth having. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.